Hello and welcome to my channel, Genealogy Central. Today we are looking at the British royal family tree. It goes from 1066 to today. Okay, let's get started. At the top of the family tree we have William the Conqueror. He invaded England in 1066, beating Harold Godwinson. Once he conquered England, he ordered that castles be built. There were a couple of revolts during his reign, but he was able to put most of them down. When he died in 1087, his son, William, took over. He died 13 years later in suspicious circumstances while out hunting with his brother, Henry. After his death, his brother Henry took over. Henry decided that the next king would be his son, William, but he died in the White Ship tragedy of 1120. This meant that Henry's plans for succession did not work anymore. When he died, there was a debate on who would be the next monarch. Henry I had a daughter called Matilda, but Henry also had a nephew through his sister Adela called Stephen. He said that he should be king because women should not be allowed to rule. There was a war between the supporters of Matilda and the supporters of Stephen. This was called the Anarchy. The war ended with a victory for Stephen. When he died, Matilda's son Henry took over. He is well known for the Thomas Becket crisis. He is also the first English king to invade Ireland. The next king was Henry's eldest son, Richard. Richard is well known for the Crusades. During his reign, he was imprisoned by his brother, King John. Once he was released, he forgave his brother and re-added him into the line of succession. He was killed after being shot by a crossbow. His brother, John, was the next king. He is famous for signing Magna Carta in 1215 and being the last Duke of Normandy. He is also known for his heavy taxation. When he died, his son, Henry III, took over. Henry III had a long reign of 56 years, from 1216 to 1272. When he died, he was succeeded by his brother, Edward I. Edward I is known for conquering Wales and the south of Scotland. He is known for making progress in common law and making Parliament permanent. He died of dysentery while fighting in Scotland. Edward II lost the south of Scotland, which his father had conquered. It is not clear how Edward died, but some historians believed he died after a red-hot poker was put up his bottom. The next king was Edward III. He had a 50-year reign, the second longest in medieval England. Edward had 4 children called Edward, Lionel, John and Edmund. Because Edward had such a long reign, his son Edward died before him, so it went to his grandson, Richard. Richard II was not a very good king. In 1399 he was deposed by nobles. He asked that his life could be spared if he abdicated. Richard didn't have any children, so after his abdication there was a debate over who would be the next king. This is called the Wars of the Roses. The next person in the line of succession was Richard's uncle, Lionel, but he died in 1360, so the crown would go to his daughter, Philippa. She had died in 1381, so her son, Richard of York, would have become king. However, Henry IV said that he should be king because women should not have any of their descendants in the line of succession. If people are descended from women and not allowed to be king, he would be the next in line of the succession. This caused the Wars of the Roses, with supporters of Richard of York saying he should be king and supporters of Henry saying he should be king. Henry IV put down a lot of rebellions during his reign. During his reign, Manuel II came to visit England, the only Byzantine emperor to do so. The next king was his son, Henry V. Henry V is well known for being king during the Battle of Agincourt. He only ruled for 9 years. When he died, his son, Henry VI, took over. Henry VI is the only king of England to also be crowned King of France. During his reign, he was deposed by Edward IV, who was the son of Richard of York, who we spoke about earlier. Edward was king until 1471, when he was exiled by Henry VI. That year, he returned to England and ruled until 1483. During his second reign, he was much more ruthless. When he died, his son, Edward V, took over. Edward V was only 13 when he became king. His death is usually attributed to his uncle, Richard III. However, there is no solid proof that Richard did kill him. After his death, Richard did take over. Richard was king for 2 years until he was deposed by Henry VII. Henry VII was a direct descendant of John of Gaunt, one of the children of Edward III. His mother was Margaret, and her father was called John. John's father was also called John, and this John is the son of John of Gaunt. That's a lot of Johns. Henry VII married the daughter of Edward IV. This is so his claim to the throne would be more legitimate, as he could say he was the successor to the House of York and the House of Lancaster. The next king was Henry VIII. He is well known for having 6 wives and breaking away from the Catholic Church. His 6 wives were Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. The next monarch was Edward VI, Henry VIII's son. Edward was only 10 when he became king. He said that he wanted the next monarch to be his first cousin once removed, Lady Jane Grey. Her father was Francis, who was the son of Mary. Mary was the sister of Henry VIII. Lady Jane Grey ruled for 9 days when she was deposed by Edward's sister, Mary. She is well known for being Catholic and marrying the King of Spain. The King of Spain did this so he could eventually take over England. After she died, the King of Spain thought he would become king, but the English people didn't like him, so Mary's half-sister, Elizabeth, became queen. She is well known for founding the East India Company. After Elizabeth's death, there was a question on who would be the next monarch, because neither Elizabeth, Mary, or Edward had children. Elizabeth decided that the next king would be James VI of Scotland. James VI was the great-great-grandson of Henry VII. James's mother was Mary, Queen of Scots. Her father was James V of Scotland. His mother was Margaret, who was the son of Henry VII. James I and VI was King of England in 1603. He had been King of Scotland since 1567. James was successful in his aims in Scotland. However, he was less successful with his aims in England with the Gunpowder Plot. However, by the end of his reign, he was a very popular king. The next king was Charles I. During his reign, the English Civil War happened when the Roundheads wanted to abolish the monarchy. He was deposed in 1649 by Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell ruled as a dictator until 1658. 3 years after his death, the monarchy was restored. Charles II was the new king. He was the son of Charles I. He is known as the Merry Monarch because of his personality and that he reversed many of Cromwell's strict laws. The next king was James II. He was the brother of Charles. He was Catholic, but people did not mind as he had 2 Protestant daughters. 3 years into his reign, Mary and William decided to invade England. Mary ruled as a co-monarch with her husband and cousin, William I. They are generally considered to be popular during their reign. Mary died in 1694 and William died in 1702. After William's death, Mary's sister, Anne, became queen. She ruled until 1714. She died without an heir, despite being pregnant 17 times. Using Anne's new rules, the next king would be Anne's second cousin, George I. He was a descendant of James I. James had a daughter named Elizabeth. Elizabeth's daughter was Sophia, who was the mother of George I. George I of Hanover is well known for not being able to speak English. He ruled until 1727, when he was succeeded by his brother, George II. George II is well known for being a constitutional monarch. He was quite happy with the power he currently had, and spent most of his time in the Holy Roman Empire. He didn't try to gain any more power during his reign. The next king was his grandson, George III. George II's son was Frederick, and he was George III's father. George III had a long reign of 60 years. He is well known for losing the American colonies and his mind. When he died, his oldest son, George IV, became king. He is well known for having a lot of scandals and spending a lot of money. He died without an heir, so the next king was his brother, William IV. He abolished slavery across the British Empire. The next monarch would be Edward, his youngest brother. However, he was dead, so the crown went to his daughter, Victoria. During her reign, the British Empire was greatly expanded. She was the first monarch to be styled Empress of India. She ruled for 64 years, up until 1901, just into the 20th century. When she died, her oldest son, Edward VII, took over. He only ruled for 9 years because of his mother's long reign. The next king was his son, George V. George V was king during World War I. He is well known for changing his last name to Windsor and the British Empire being at its height during his reign. He was succeeded by Edward VIII. He is well known for abdicating the throne so he could marry Wallis Simpson. This means he ruled for less than a year. His brother was the next king after Edward's abdication. George VI was king during World War II. During his reign, he was extremely popular. He was king until he died in 1952. He was succeeded by his daughter, Elizabeth II. She has ruled since 1952 and is the longest reigning monarch in British history. This wraps up our video. This video's question is, who were the World War I cousins? Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching and goodbye.